YouTube! Today we're going to be reacting to the strongest tornado that wasn't rated EF5. This video is by High Risk Chris. All his information, the link to this video and his channel will be in the description below, so if you want to check him out, all that will be provided in the description. Let's hop into it.
On April 9th, 2015, the people in northern Illinois witnessed one of nature's most
10 years
incredible
ago.
spectacles. For those out of harm's way, this tornado was extremely beautiful, but for those in the path, it was a nightmare come true.
I just want to say that has to be terrifying. Whenever a tornado comes to hit your home and you're inside and just everything turns pitch black. You have all this debris starting to hit your home. You can hear the creaking and stuff break, the sound of stuff breaking. Man. It's scary.
Leading up to April 9th, forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center were well aware of the upcoming severe weather threat. All ingredients required for tornadoes were there: the shear, the moisture, and instability, or CAPE. However, the SPC initially only put out a 5% chance for tornadoes, which isn't really high for spring, peak tornado season, but early morning.
Wait, I thought those little, like the 5, the 10, the 15% stuff like that was the chance for the chance for violent tornadoes. Is that wrong? I thought that's the way it was explained to me. Like, that wasn't the percentage that there would be a tornado. That was the percentage that there would be strong to violent tornadoes. Or are they different ones like that? Like, there's one system that tells you the chance there's a tornado, then there's another one that tells you the chance that there's, the strong tornadoes.
Forecasters noted that the atmosphere was much more volatile than what was initially anticipated. So around midday, an area of 10% hatched tornado potential was introduced over northern Illinois. The forecasters specifically mentioned a chance for strong tornadoes. Fast forward a few hours. At 4 o'clock, a large complex of storms was over the Quad Cities, but those were not the real threat. It was actually the small storm to the east that was rapidly intensifying, eventually dominating the atmosphere. Just by random chance, another storm popped up behind this dominant cell and gave the dominant storm a little push in the right spot, and at 6:39 a tornado formed north of Franklin Grove, Illinois. The Rochelle tornado started out as a tall, skinny rope, and as it moved northeast, it produced its first damage, directly impacting Crest Foods' distribution plant.
Look, I love the look of rope tornadoes to start off. I just think they look cool. I hate the fact that it's fixing to hit this town, though, obviously.
Being a large hole in the warehouse. As the tornado moved northeast, it began showing signs of intensification, now leaving a distinct mark on the ground. It was right at this time when Derek Myers began recording the tornado with this incredible view from his front porch. In his video, you can see how highly visible the tornado was. It is also clearly much stronger than it was.
Look at that rotation, boys. Look at that.
Earlier in its life.
That looks violent. Oh, it's getting big.
While the tornado was blocked by trees from Derek's point of view, Lewis Williamson was recording the tornado from much closer. In his video, you can see the incredible structure of this tornado, a compact core at the center of a much larger, highly visible mesocyclone. The core of the tornado was like a black hole, violently pulling in everything at the...
That's some good footage. I know this particular camera is kind of blurry, but like, you can see that tornado so well.
Ground.
Look at that rotation, man. My goodness.
At this point, the tornado was fairly well behaved, mostly staying over open fields. However, it was now targeting several homes on the north side of Rochelle. As it moved into more populated areas, the tornado was caught on security camera as it passed by a home, missing it by less than 50 yards.
Woo!
But that home was lucky. The first home to come into contact with the violent core of the tornado was completely destroyed. This moment was captured by Wayne Humphrey, who was recording the beastly tornado from the north.
Oh man, it's
You can
crystal
see just
clear.
how incredible this tornado was to witness, which is extremely unconventional because tornadoes this strong are usually shrouded in rain, but this was...
Okay, this right here at the back, you notice how it's kind of, I can't tell if it's just the rotation or is that like inflow going into the storm. To the right of this, well, not this, the other side. Yeah, is that like inflow or is that just the rotation of the storm?
was not a normal tornado.
No, it looks like inflow. I'm sorry, I'm getting caught up there.
The tornado was now moving towards Cherry Hills, a nice little subdivision on the north side of Rochelle. The first home impacted was the Johnson family home, where all walls were wiped off of the foundation. But somehow, their red Porsche was completely untouched. Fortunately, the Johnsons had taken cover and were safe.
They ain't no way. The Porsche was perfectly fine. The car next to it took one for the team. What is that? It looks like a Hyundai. It took one for the team. W Hyundai. It knew. Yeah, something I do want to point out though. You see that tree? You see the guy standing there, the tree directly to his right that's completely bald? Oh my.
Safe. The Whitaker home next door suffered an even more tragic fate, where 2 dogs died from the tornado. Thankfully, Joanna Whitaker...
Not the Great Danes, dude. I love Great Danes. They're just massive lap dogs from what I've been told. R.I.P. to the dogs.
was not home at the time. The Van Vickle home was the next one hit, where the town's sheriff lived. Unsurprisingly, this home was completely leveled. There was also a dog inside, but by a miracle, the dog only suffered minor cuts and bruises. The Dickey family home across the street was the next house directly impacted by the core of the tornado. It was completely swept off of its foundation.
Look at that car.
Leaving only the basement. The tornado then engulfed the Hayde and Belmont homes, where both families were sheltering in their basements. One of the Belmont's cars was thrown over 300 feet into their neighbor's backyard, and another...
Wow. We've seen this so many times with these, very strong tornadoes. Look at Rainsville. Insert any of the big tornado names there, right? It still blows my mind. Being able to throw a car 300 feet is insane. Requires a great deal of strength. It's a strong tornado, dude.
was thrown into their own basement, trapping them underneath the debris. The
You're not safe anywhere. No, I don't want to say that. Look, it was trying to attack people with cars in their basement. This is the importance of getting underground, though. Clearly, as I just said, these people were fine. They're trapped, but they're fine. Look at above ground, boys. Don't try to ride out tornadoes above ground if you can. Get underground. Get underground.
Belmonts had to wait for emergency services to help them escape after the tornado, and by a miracle, the Hayde family was untouched. The Price family's home was also totally destroyed, even though it was just south of the main core of the tornado. The intense moments of the tornado as it tore through Cherry Hills was captured by Anthony Camusa, who had a completely unobstructed view. In his video, you can clearly see the unfathomable motion of the tornado at the ground, raw strength that's only seen in the highest caliber tornadoes. The beast was now moving over open fields with a beautiful bright white appearance, which is somewhat ironic considering it had just wiped out a neighborhood, almost killing a few different families.
Dude, it looks so
As
beautiful.
the tornado moved northeast, the violent core threaded the needle between multiple farmsteads. Even though it wasn't directly impacting any structures, the tornado was leaving visible marks on the ground, showing it still possessed extreme winds. The tornado was now moving towards the intersection of Highway 251 and 64, the location of a small local restaurant, Grubstakers. Owner Ava Murtoska was aware of the oncoming tornado from the warning she received on her phone and was able to get all her employees and customers into the storm shelter just before the tornado directly impacted the restaurant. Simultaneously, the tornado impacted multiple homes, which stood no chance for the extreme tornadic winds. All of the homes were destroyed, and their debris was carried hundreds of yards into the field behind them, where
Yo, just want to stop here for a second. The weather team there, they got out a warning. Or an emergency, I don't know exactly which one they declared. We're going to pretend it's a warning for this particular talk. Good on them getting out the warning. Number two, in a restaurant, a woman got it on her cellular device. She took it seriously. Take your warning seriously. So, waiter, got herself, the customers, everybody to a storm shelter somewhere underground. Perfect scenario. Perfect. Well played. Saved a lot of lives. Look at that damage. Imagine if they were all upstairs. Well, not in the storm shelter, but in the building. Now, I know there's been several instances where they went into like a walk-in cooler, and it seems like those walk-in coolers actually do really well staying together and offering protection. There's been so many videos we've reacted to where those walk-in coolers have actually saved lives. But if you can get underground, get underground.
smart car and mangled dumpster were found in the field.
I got a serious question. Any of you guys drive one of these? Little smart car right there? That's a little video thing, dude. It reminds me of a clown car. I'm not making fun of you if you have one. I'm just saying it reminds me of a clown car.
Field among the debris. The tornado overtaking this intersection was captured just down the road by Dave Walker in this extremely frightening video. After passing over the intersection, the tornado was now on a direct collision course with the Dilling Farm, which unfortunately ended up taking a direct hit from the core of the tornado, completely shredding apart a two-story home. Shearing a concrete silo right at its base and debarking nearby trees.
Oh
All
my
that remained
God.
of the farmstead was a grain silo filled with corn. Thankfully, the Dilling family was not present at this time, since they were at their main home just down the road, where they took this ominous photo of the tornado right before they went down into their storm cellar. Right after impacting the Dilling farmstead, the tornado proceeded to leave extremely visible, high-contrast, cycloidal
Everybody getting
markings
underground,
on the
dude. I
ground,
love it.
a feat only done by the strongest tornadoes. Moving northeast at 45 miles per hour, the tornado was now closing in on a much busier road, Interstate 39. Here, Sam Smith, a businessman traveling to Indianapolis, stopped right as the tornado passed in front of him.
But it looks like it's coming right towards me.
Man, hey, brother, back up. That's because it is. Oh my God. Look at that.
Ridiculous.
Brother, you gotta back up. Oh my God.
Oh, that is scary. The truck is.
Yeah.
Sam stopped within less than 100 feet of the strong core of the tornado. Had Sam reacted any slower
Dude.
and been any closer,
I would have
there's
been backing
zero
up.
chance he would have survived.
That is completely crazy.
After crossing Interstate 39, the
There's been some great footage in this.
tornado continued northeast, leveling a section of trees, making a quick right turn, and narrowly dodging a direct impact with multiple country homes, only leaving minor damage. It was also at this time another tornado formed, traveling alongside the main tornado at 45 miles per hour. This type of tornado is called a satellite because it orbits around the main tornado, just like how a satellite orbits around the Earth. This satellite tornado was captured on video by Ed Lovelady.
Got that tornado, and we got some spinning up here.
While the secondary tornado was small and weak, there was a much bigger problem unfolding. The main tornado was heading straight for the town of Fairdale, Illinois.
Oh,
Here,
man.
resident Clem Schultz recorded the incoming tornado from his second floor back window. As it got closer and closer, frozen with fear, Clem held his position and continued recording the tornado.
Alright, let's stop here, Andy. Don't do what Andy did. This is what this guy's doing. We don't want to be Andy. We're thankful for people like Andy getting the footage, but we don't want them to get hurt. If you cannot get underground and you have to hunker down in your home, don't do it on the second, third floor, wherever you may be, if you're in a multiple story home or building. Get to the lowest floor. Center room, no windows if you can. This thing's moving at 45 miles per hour, right? That might be fast. That might not be fast in car terms, but if you're sitting still inside of your home and something is moving towards you at 45 miles per hour that wants to take you out, it's the fastest thing on the planet, right? So, don't do this.
Until it overtook him, directly impacting his home and leveling half of the small town. This is, in my opinion, the most frightening tornado footage ever captured.
Sorry. Did my man stay up there and record
Despite
like that?
taking a direct hit from the violent core of the tornado and being on the second floor of his home, which is the worst thing you can do in this situation,
Yep.
Clem survived the encounter. Sadly, his wife Geraldine, who was doing the right thing by sheltering in a bathroom on the first floor, did not survive. Their neighbor
R.I.P. R.I.P. How? She did everything right. He did everything wrong. He walks away. It's crazy. It just goes to show you, man. Sometimes you just gotta be lucky. Well, what's the old sports saying? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
neighbor, Jacqueline Closa, also perished. Jerry and Jackie would end up being the only two deaths from this tornado, and coincidentally,
R.I.P.
they were close friends. The harrowing moment of the tornado moving through Fairdale was captured by Daniel Abbott from the Northwest. It's wild to think that while Daniel was seeing this once-in-a-lifetime display of nature, Clem was experiencing this. At this point, the tornado had been on the ground for over half an hour, and the storm would briefly spit out another tornado, which was captured by Toby Hawk. The second tornado was anticyclonic, meaning it was rotating in the opposite direction to what most tornadoes rotate in the northern hemisphere. An anticyclonic twin like this only forms with the strongest tornadoes. Soon after, the main tornado dissipated. After 40 minutes and over 30 miles, the wrath of this beautiful but angry beast had come to an end. The storm went on to produce a few other tornadoes, none of which were particularly strong, and at this point, now 8 o'clock, the sun had fully set. The next morning, light was cast on the extreme damage produced by the generational tornado. The two worst hit neighborhoods were Cherry Hills and Fairdale. Response to the tornado was immediate. The nearby communities came together to clean up the mess, and the National Weather Service sent out multiple teams to document and survey the damage. The survey and final rating of the tornado would end up being extremely controversial. At 6 different locations, the National Weather Service assigned a rating of 200 miles per hour, giving the Rochelle tornado a final rating of EF4. At surface value, this isn't much of an issue, but when we unpack this and take a closer look at some of the damage, it's easy to see why many believed this tornado deserved the extremely rare EF5 rating.
I will say that this tornado had some of the most violent rotation I've seen in some of these tornadoes. It was stout.
Most extreme damage caused by the tornado was in the Cherry Hills subdivision, where 10 homes were completely wiped off of their foundations. However, the 3 most severely damaged homes were these 3: the Dickey home, Belmont home, and Haight homes. The Dickey home had taken a direct hit by the violent core of the tornado, and the debris left was shredded to the point where it was totally unrecognizable. Same with the Belmont home, where the remnants of their home were dragged hundreds of feet into their backyard, and multiple cars were tossed, one of which was tossed over 300 feet into their neighbor's backyard. But perhaps the most compelling feat of damage occurred at the Haight family home, which was hit by a subvortex on the north side of the tornado's core. The tornado actually displaced a concrete walkway, something you almost never see in tornado damage. But it wasn't just the walkway. The entire concrete foundation had been damaged by the tornado. This one home has sparked a lot of debate as to what wind speeds are required to do this level of damage. While Fairdale took a direct hit, it's pretty clear based on damage and videos of the tornado at the time, it was not at maximum strength here. But there is one other location that is potentially at EF5 level, the Dilling Farm, where a concrete silo was sheared off of its base. What's interesting about the farm is that it's located directly on the south side of the core of the tornado, and given the fact that tornadoes are both rotating and translating, the southeast side of the tornado is the side that results in the addition of both of these velocities. So this is where the worst damage would occur, and that's exactly what happened. You can also see the extreme ground scouring that went right through the Dilling Farm. Another issue is just how quickly the National Weather Service rated the tornado. The tornado was given a preliminary rating of EF4 the same day the survey was started, and the rating of EF4 200 miles per hour was finalized on the 13th, just 4 days after the tornado occurred, which also includes 2 days on the weekend. In my opinion, a detailed analysis cannot be completed in only a few days. And while an EF4 rating is not the end of the world, I more so have an issue with rating any tornado 200 miles per hour. If we look at the enhanced Fujita scale, we can see that EF4 ranges from 166 miles per hour to 200 miles per hour, and EF5 starts at 201 miles per hour, which means that the Rochelle tornado is technically the strongest tornado that didn't receive an EF5 rating. The Chickasha and Goldsby tornadoes were also given an EF4 200 mile per hour rating. The difference between 200 and 201 is nothing, and it really feels like the EF5 rating was intentionally withheld for some reason. But I don't want to be overly negative and take away from the tragedy felt by the people who were affected by the tornado. The most important thing that happened after the tornado was that the people banded together to overcome this random act of nature. Multiple fundraisers were set up and surpassed their goals for both the Haight and Belmont families, and the Prices fully rebuilt their home only a few months after being destroyed by the tornado. Grubstakers has been totally rebuilt and is open to this day, and the owner Ava was given an award for her brave actions that saved her employees and customers. The town of Fairdale may now be missing some trees and homes on the north side of town, but they have recovered, and there is now a memorial commemorating Jerry and Jackie. The feelings of the victims was best described by Joanna Whitaker, who lost her home and 2 dogs in Cherry Hills. A lot of that night and following days are still a blur to me. It was such a complicated mix of emotions as well. There is obviously a lot of sadness, but something that broke through all of that was the people. There was such an amazing outpouring of support from all around. People we didn't even know were sending us messages of support and donating money to help us out. It was one of those moments that helps you restore your faith in humanity.
All right, dude. Hey, community there to come together, help these, the people that were affected get through. RIP to the 2 elderly women that lost their lives. And RIP to the 2 dogs as well. One day to give it an EF4 rating at 200 miles per hour, that's insane. Somebody had a vacation that they were going to miss. That is wild. They walked in there one day, was like, EF4, I got to go home. Bye. Look, we've all been at work before, and you have something good going on at home that you want to get to. But come on, man. Come on. To damage, the foundation of a home like that is kind of weird to not get an EF5. That's the foundation to the home. Now, something I've learned over time is, it doesn't always mean they were well-built homes, right? There could always be design flaws. Maybe they just weren't, well-built homes. That happens, right? That happens. Just because a home is completely destroyed and the foundation is swept clean doesn't automatically mean EF5. But like when you're talking about the foundation, the concrete foundation has been shattered and broken and you know? I find it hard not to give that an EF5. I feel like that is worthy of an EF5. And I know somebody in the comments is going to educate me here and probably be like, hey, man, it could have just been some weak concrete, Oh, man, leave me alone for once, all right? Let me have this one. No, in all seriousness, thank you all for always, help teach me about some of this stuff. It's been a crazy learning experience. Fairdale. Oh, yeah, dude, we got to give a shout out. Got to give a shout out. Give me just a second. I took a screenshot. Is it Osiris? X3R0. Osiris. I'm going to call you Osiris. I got you. I got you, big dog. Thank you for the recommendation there. I appreciate you. All right, guys. What do you guys think? High-end EF4, EF5. I'm going EF5. I'm going to say it belonged in the EF5. What it did to that foundation, you kind of got me sold. You got me sold on the EF5. 200-mile-per-hour winds. Destroyed foundation. You got me. EF5. I'm sick of the high-end EF4 dream. EF5. But with that said, also be respectful. People lost their lives here. Doesn't matter if it was an EF0 or an EF5, lives were lost. So, just keep that in your mind when you're typing out your comment. Yeah, lives were lost. So RIP to the 2 victims there. RIP to the 2 dogs. Also to a lot of the community here, great job. They got number 1, they got a warning. Good job to the weather team. Number 2, they took the warning serious. And it seemed like a lot of people were doing a good job of getting underground. It's what we like to hear. Alright guys, I am Cheap. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and all that good jazz. We'll catch you in the next one.